Hey everybody, welcome to this month's series. We're talking about the power of mindset and rewiring your thinking for healing, which as first responders is so important to be on top of our mindset. It's so important to really try to understand why we do the actions that we do. And basically it's because the thoughts that we have and the emotions that we attach to it create that actions, create those responses that we have within our lives. So today I'm focusing on harnessing self talk to build inner strength. Because as a first responder, a lot of things we say to ourselves, even as a non first responder, we are the worst critics to ourselves. We say things to ourselves that we don't truly mean, and we fight that battle on a day-to-day basis. I know I do. I know some of the things I say to myself really undermine who I truly am as a person. I know that I was made to be something bigger than my negative thoughts. So when I fight with myself, when I have these negative inner thoughts always battling with me, it really hinders the ability that I have within my life and who I want to be. Now as a first responder, we have to constantly go after the people and deal with different circumstances within our careers. So we want to make sure that we're talking to ourselves in a proper manner. We all make mistakes, but sometimes our mistakes can lead to a life or a death situation. That's high thoughts that we have on ourselves. But regardless of what you've done yesterday, tomorrow, today is going to be different because you're going to believe more in yourself. You're going to tell yourself different things. You're going to create that outcome that you truly are going after. So basically, we're talking today about reframing self talk to create a foundation for healing. So, first of all, I want to ask you, what is self talk? Do you know if I were to say, hey, what's self talk? Would you be able to answer that question? Because it's super simple. The answer is it's the internal dialogue that influences our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. The internal dialogue, it's the things that we tell ourselves. Now, oftentimes we're more, like I said, more crucial, more critical about the things that we tell ourselves that we forget to be kind. We forget to really take care of ourselves, to say, look, man, I made this mistake and I'm going to move on and I'm going to become that person I'm going after. I'm going to create that foundation. Because once you create that foundation of positive self talk, once you create that foundation, that's when you're going to be able to build up on it and build up to that next level that you're going after. So I want to ask you, why does it matter? Why does it matter the way that you talk to yourself? And I have a few points. Self talk, it matters because it shapes beliefs, it shapes our resilience, it builds our resilience and our mental well being. It all comes down to the things you say, and then the emotions you attach to it are going to contribute to how you act. Does that make sense? Right? Does that make sense? The way you think and the emotions you the emotions you attach to that thought is going to contribute to the actions that you take. So if you're always cutting yourself down, if you're always saying, man, I'm not good enough, I'm not the person I want to be, I can't do the things I want to do in life, does that empower you to actually go off and do the things you want to do? No, it doesn't. So when you're a first responder, you're going after that and you're dealing with a circumstance and you're like, man, the last time I dealt with a circumstance, I failed at it. This person got hurt. This happened. How are you going to respond in that situation that you're currently in? You're going to respond to it very negatively, and you're going to shy away from certain things within that course, within that actions. So my friend, that's why self-talk is so important. Oops. So, what's the purpose of the presentation? Right, today we're going to understand self talk's impact. We're going to learn from strategies to reframe negative self talk, and we're going to use self talk as a tool for healing and strength because that's what it's all about. We're using these, this is another piece for your toolbox. And that's what I try to contribute every single week. I try to give you these little pieces so that you can add it. But like I've said before, take what's gonna work for you and throw away the rest. Because I go off on a lot of things on these, and I want to make sure that most of it you understand, but some of it you really remember, and some of it you take off, and it'll help you in your career. It'll help you in your day-to-day life. It'll help you to grow past your traumatic past and into your thriving future that we're working towards. You are strong. You are strong. You are strong. You are strong. My friend, you are strong. How many times have you said that to yourself? You are strong. You can overcome the circumstance. You can create that life you're going after. You can become that person that you're thriving towards. You can build the life that you want. You can become the person that you want to be. Do you believe that? Because, my friends, belief is the first step in healing. You believe what you can, you attach emotions. Yeah, I can do this. And then you begin to do the actions. And my friends, you will become that person you want to become. But it has to begin with that thought. Because self-talk affects neuroplasticity and your emotional regulations. When you tell yourself these positive things within your life, you say, okay, I know I can do this. That begins to create new neurons in your mindset. And your mindset goes, oh, I can do this. She can do this. And then you begin to do the actions necessary, and you follow through with the things that you've gone after. You follow through going, yes, I can believe in myself. I can do these actions. I can create this life that I want. And over time, these neurons that fire together wire together, and then you create these new pathways in your life. It's like when you're young and we learn about our name, right? I remember, I think it was Bob Proctor that went over this, and someone says your name, and my name's Adam. It's like, hey, Adam, hey, Adam, Adam, Adam. My parents are saying, Adam, stop that. Adam, do this. Adam, you're amazing at this. Adam, this. And I'm like, okay, they're calling me Adam. So that must be my name. So my neurons and my mindset began to wire, and now I know that my name is Adam. But it had to be a repetitive thing. Most of the time people are like, I'm going to try a language, right? That's probably the easiest example to give you. So they're like, I'm gonna learn a new language. And they try it and they're like, oh man, I don't get this. And then they try it a couple more. Man, this is just isn't me. But your neurons haven't fired. They haven't created anything. So it's going to be difficult, because anything is difficult in the beginning, messy in the middle, and gorgeous in the end, right? But you have to work through those stages. And regardless if you're learning a new language, regardless if you're beginning to self-talk with yourself, you have to understand that it takes time, right? One day you're going to go through an experience and you're going to be like, you know what, yeah, you know what, I did that really good. I did it really good that day. And then the next day you might fail and be like, oh, I'm an idiot, why did I do that? And now you're creating this up and down thing. So you always have to really work on your conscious awareness, which builds into your subconscious awareness. So consciously is what you do on a day to day. I I think I'm going to go do this today. So you consciously do that, and then you go do it. And you do it enough times. It's like tying a shoe. It's like for us adults that drive cars. I can get into a car, put on music, and I get from point A to point B to really thinking about how I'm driving the car. It's natural. I've done it for so many years. But self-talk, once you do it enough times, it's going to consciously do that, and you'll create these neurons, you'll create these pathways in your mind that are going to move towards exactly where you want to go. But it takes time to do that, and that's what I want to show you, my friends. I want to show you the ability. So there's two different types of self-talk. There's negative, which is self-doubt, self-criticism, fear-based thinking, which I've been talking about. But we want to move into the positive self-talk, encouraging yourself, constructive, solution focused. We all fail. I want to remind you about that. We're all going to fail. We're all human. It's part of our growth process, right? You fail your way to success. You fail your way to absolutely everything. You have to trial and error things. But if you're solution focused and unless you fail at something, you okay, I failed at that. What can I learn? Where's the solution? Where can I incorporate this into my life so that I can move into the phase, move into the person I want to be, and create more positive, more encouraging, more constructive talk? We begin to focus on that solution. But negativity, you keep yourself in the past. You keep that self doubt. You keep saying that you're not good enough to be the person you want to be. And this is where you begin to break yourself down. And my friends, I don't want you to become that and hindrance yourself. I want you to take yourself and move into that life that you want. So you want to move into the positive self-talk and try to steer clear of that negative self-doubt, that negative self-criticism. One easy way to do this is to talk to yourself like you would your best friend, right? We're often so critical of ourselves that we don't treat ourselves with kindness. Some of the stuff I say to myself, I would never say to my wife, I would never say to my kids, I would never say to my best friend. But I cut myself down and I don't create that person I truly want to be. And this takes time. You have to begin to tell yourselves, who am I? Who do I want to be? Where do I want to go? And this is through encouraging, constructive, and solution focused conversations. The inner critic versus the inner coach. You want to be that inner coach. Who is that inner critic? You're that self doubt, you're the blame, trauma. It's common in trauma and PTSD. We don't think we're good enough. We don't think we can make it to the other side of this past experience. Man, I failed again. I'm worthless. Why did I even bother? Right? I remember when I was going through my depressive state when I first was diagnosed with post traumatic stress disorder, I didn't want to get out of bed. I'm like, what's the point? Life is not worth it. It's not worth me even trying to help people or do anything. I was weak. So I had to become that inner coach. I had to begin to go, okay, look, I need to start writing my new story. I need to start becoming that supportive, empowering. I need to go, okay, what can I do today to have that life I want tomorrow? What are the actions that I can do? One simple action I would do and I'd have to fight through is I'd even just get out of bed. Because I remember being when I was in that depressive state, I didn't want to leave my bedroom. I was like, I don't even want to get out of bed. This is who I am. I'm going to get through this. But no, I had to change and go, okay, look, my goal today is to get out of bed. My goal today is to watch something funny to make me laugh because humor is one of the best medicines. And I began to do this over and over and over again. Remember, change is hard in the beginning, messy in the middle, and gorgeous at the end. So the change you want to make, right, is going to be tough to go after. But when you begin to do it over and push yourself, and then you begin to get there. It's like people that go to the gym. Most gyms are full for the first 2 weeks of January, but then after that, it ends. Like nobody goes to the gym anymore because they haven't built those neurons in their mindset to create that habit that's going to give them that life that they want, right? Identify negative thought patterns. This is big because we have to begin to focus. We have to begin to be consciously aware. It's like, what am I thinking? What are the thoughts that I think on a daily basis? It's very simple. We all have phones. We all have, all have iPhones, right? We all have the phones that we can write notes in and go, okay, what negative thought patterns do I think on a day-to-day basis? What are the biggest thoughts that I have? Do I say I'm not good enough? Do I say I always fail? Do I say that no one cares about me? Do I say that I'm weak? Do I say that I'm not pushing myself? Like, what are the thought patterns that you say to yourself on a day-to-day basis and identify those and say, okay, look, now that I've identified these patterns, what do I do? Well, let me go back to this. So these are the common negative thought patterns. We catastrophize ourselves. I'll never recover. Never. Never and always are words that I fight to not use. And my wife catches me on this all the time. I always do this, or I never am going to do this again, right? Never and always. Nothing's true. Nothing is never and nothing is always, right? There's always going to be change, right? Well, I can't say nothing is ever because things will always happen. I'll move on. I'm going down a weird path right now. All or nothing thinking. If I fail once, I'll always fail. So same as catastrophizing, right? Correction. Catastrophizing is making everything huge, right? You're making everything bigger than it really is. Making a mountain out of a molehill. All or nothing thinking is if I fail once, I'm always going to fail. I'm a failure. That's just who I am. I'm labeling myself. It's all my fault. That's personalizing, right? I just did it there. I'm a failure. I'm a failure. You're labeling yourself. That's not who you are. You failed, right? But failure leads to growth. And then overgeneralizing. I always mess up, right? You don't always mess up. You messed up in a certain situation. So you want to identify what are the thought patterns that you use, because then you can be able to move forward. And that's where I'm going to get to, right? The impact. What are the things that happen in your life when you tell yourself, when you're so negative in yourself all the time? What are the things that impacts this? Well, first of all, your mental health. Obvious one. Your mental health is increases anxiety, stress, and depression. When you're always thinking thoughts, I'm going to go back here. When you're always thinking thoughts like, if I fail once, I'm always going to fail. What's that going to do to your anxiety? What's that going to do to your stress? You're not going to want to do things in your life. You're not going to want to move into that self-care area of your life because you're like, I always fail. And this is going to cause stress, and this is going to cause that depression. It's like, what's the point of me getting out of bed? What's the point of me going after anything in my life because I always fail? Now that causes that stress, that causes that anxiety, and that it also reinforces those limiting beliefs. Well, if I always fail, if I'm never good enough, why would I even try anything? Why do I believe I can get past my post traumatic stress disorder? Why do I believe I can get past my depression? Because I always fail. So it reinforces that. What else does it do? It breaks down your physical health. When you're always stressed, when you're always, let's go back to these, when you're always anxiety, when you're always stressed, when you always have depression, you're going to have higher cholesterol levels. You're going to always be tense. You're always like, I'm so stressed about this. I'm so frustrated at this. I can't do this. And when your body is always working and fighting against that, what's it cause? Fatigue. You're always tired. So when you begin to have these, go back again, these impact of your negative thoughts, self-talk. So when you're always cutting yourself down, when you're always doing things towards yourself saying you're not good enough, it causes stress, anxiety, which causes your cholesterol to go up, which causes you tension, which causes you muscle fatigue, and you're tired. Then how are you going to recover? You're always fighting this. You're always pushing yourself. You're always breaking yourself down, and you can't grow. You can't move into that next phase. You can't move into that next phase of your journey because you're breaking yourself. So what do? We begin to reframe that self-talk for strength and healing. We begin to go, okay, what am I saying to myself? Okay, you're going through a rough time right now and you're like, man, I always fail. No, hold on. I don't always fail. Okay? I don't always fail. I failed in that moment. So you catch that negative thought. Catch it. You and you ask yourself, okay, is this absolutely true? Do I always fail? No, I don't. And then you replace that with a balanced thought, shift from empowering to realistic. No, I don't always fail, but I did fail, but I'm going to learn from that and I'm going to get better. That is how easy it is to reframe self-talk. That is how easy it is to begin to create those new neurons in your mind and begin to create that life that you want. But my friends, easy, not always simple, right? It's very easy to say, okay, yeah, I caught my thought. Now I'm going to challenge it. I'm going to replace it. And when you begin to do that over and over and over again, you create the neurons and you create that life. For example, I'm weak because I have PTSD. You begin to reframe that, go, no, I'm strong because I'm actively working through my PTSD. I'm strong because I made it through that situation or that event, and now I'm beginning to rebuild my life. And this is how you begin to reframe it. So, self talk in high stress situations. Oftentimes, the self talk happens when you're dealing with a traumatic event. So, you have to learn different techniques that you can do right in those high stress situations. You can recognize your automatic response options. Okay, what do I do when I am in a high stress situation? How do I respond? What triggers these self talks? Grounding techniques to shift the thoughts. Okay, I'm in this moment, I'm battling, I'm going, okay, I'm going to look around. What's going on? 5 things I can see, 4 things I can hear, 3 things I can touch, 2 things I can smell, and 1 thing I can taste. Right? What's going on right now? How do I bring myself back in this moment? And mantras. Mantras are great because when you're in the moment, you're dealing with a high stress situation. You're like, look, I'm in control of my response. I'm in control of what I do in this moment. I may not have control over what's going on in the moment, but you have control over what you do. And this is a big one that I want you, my friends, to remember. This moment will pass. This too shall pass. I remember a story, and let's see if I can remember it. So basically, a guy, he was a king, and he goes to his his top, I don't even know what they'd be called, his top thinkers, we'll say. And he goes, okay, look, write me a quote. I want a quote that you can give me that it will answer everything for every situation that goes on in life. So they go, okay. And they think about it and they come back with them and they write something on a piece of paper and they fold it up and they give it to him. And they're like, only open this in high stress situations. He goes, okay. So he takes it and tucks it behind his watch. And he goes on and forgets about it. And then a siege happens at his kingdom and people come and battle him and they begin to break down and they force him out of his kingdom and he flees and all of his people flee and he's running and the people are tailing him and he goes to this, there's kind of a fork in the road and he kind of goes off to the right end of the fork and it ends and he goes, oh great, this is a situation, it's high stress, I don't know what to do in this situation. And he goes and he kind of hides in the woods and he's like, what can I do, what can I do? And he goes, oh yeah, I remember my thinkers gave me this note. So he grabs it and he opens it up and he goes, this moment will pass. He goes, oh. And he kind of closes his eyes and he thinks about it and goes, okay, what, I don't know what's going to happen. This moment too will pass. And he ends up hearing the horse's footsteps coming after him. And then he hears them fading away. Oh. So they've left the area. So he goes back and goes to his kingdom and the siege is over and he rebuilds and he has this amazing kingdom again and everything happens and he goes and he pulls out the little note and he goes, this moment will pass. Every moment that we go through, my friends, will pass. The good moments, the bad moments, everything will pass, but you have to see it like that. If you don't see that the moments will pass, you're going to be stuck in forever that negative self-talk. So what's some great self-talk that we can do to begin to move into this healing from trauma? Shifting from that survivor mode into the growth mode. I talked about it on the last episode. I talked about fixed mindset versus growth mindset. Now, fixed mindset is always believing that this is the way life is. Growth mindset is beginning to move from that self-doubt to the empowerment, beginning to reframe trauma narratives, saying this experience shaped me, but it doesn't define me. It's not who I am, right? Speaking to yourself like you would a close friend. These are beginning to grow yourself into that next phase, grow yourself into that life that you're going after. And that's how you shift from that survivor mode, just getting through the day. What can I do to just get through today? When I was back in the day dealing with trauma, dealing with my depression, dealing with the frustrations of life, I just wanted to get through the day. And that's not living, that's surviving. And my friends, I want you to move into that thriving lifestyle and say, look, what can I do to create this life that I truly want? So what's an action plan? I want to always, and I try to create these where you always have an action plan, doing something that's going to create your life, an exercise that you can do to create that action plan. So I call this the 3C policies, and you're going to catch, you're going to challenge, and you're going to change. So first thing you always want to do is to recognize, to catch it, recognize that narrative or unhelpful thoughts as they arise, especially in high pressure moments. Awareness is the first step towards change. So you're like, okay, what can I do? Where can I change? We're going to catch the thought. Then we're going to challenge it. We're going to, okay, is this challenge true? Question the vitality of the thought. Is it true? Is it helping or harming me? What's more balanced perspective? So you caught the thought, you're going to challenge it. This is not true. And then you're going to change it. You're going to replace that thought with a constructive one that fosters confidence, control, and resilience, allowing you to refocus and respond effectively. The 3 C's: catch, challenge, change. Write that down, remember it, put it in your mindset. Catch, challenge, change. Catch, challenge, change, because this is going to help you on a day-to-day basis reaffirm these self-talks and really help you begin to thrive in that lifestyle. Catch, challenge, change. So how do you apply this, right? Morning or night, you have check-ins, okay? So you've done the catch, challenge, change. At the end of the day, start and end your day with a positive self-talk. Tell yourself, this is going to be a really good day because I choose it's going to be a good day. I say that to myself every morning. This is my day because I'm going to create it to be. Have an accountability or journaling practice. I journal every single day, twice a day. I write down the things in the morning And then I write down at night how that day went. And write one reframe per day. So what you're going to do is you're going to catch, challenge, change, and you're going to catch that thought. What is that thought that you had that you're going to challenge? And then how are we going to change it? Write that down in your journal. Write one thing. We have 40,000 thoughts a day. Just take one of those negative thoughts and catch, challenge, change. That's it. So, key takeaways for today: self talk can either build you or it can break your resilience. Which direction are you wanting to go? Right? This has to be a choice. You have to decide, am I going to catch, challenge, change? Am I going to be stuck in my past, or am I going to create and move forward and by thriving? Small changes in self talk lead to major shifts in mindset. Don't think that you're going to create this new person overnight. It's going to take time. But you take one shift, you do that one exercise where you just write down that one thing that you want to replace, and you're going to create that life, you're going to create that outcome that you're going for. Reframing takes practice, but it leads to long term healing. Thank you. Thank you so much, one, for what you do. As first responders, people on the outside don't recognize, don't understand the things that we have to do on a daily basis. I read today that as someone in the public, they face 20 critical incidences in their life they'll deal with. As a first responder in a 25-year career, you're dealing with over 800 critical incidents, and that's an average. So I'm sure some more, some less. So protect yourself, protect your mind, because you matter. You matter to me, you matter to the people around you. So matter to yourself and begin to create that life that you want. Thank you again for tuning in. Thank you again for what you do. And remember that I'm always here for you. Reach out if you need, and have an amazing day, because that's what you choose.